Let's vote. Let's get out the 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 vote. Let's win.
Oh my gosh, he's so awful.
All right, let's get to work. 24 hours to go.
Oh man!
All right, hang on. All right, I wanted to make sure that didn't play again. Okay.
I just want the audience to know I am proud of Anthony, because Anthony, you pulled that off great.
We don't need him no more, Nick. It's just me and you. We're getting rid of him.
You pulled it off great. Very good. Very good.
Oh man. Okay. Everybody has to tell me how the audio sounds, because Nick told me it sounded a little fuzzy earlier. And the last episode we did, I sounded very echoey. I'm not sure how my audio is. So if you guys are in the chat, let me know if it's off or echoey. Nick, I was so like positive up until today, man. And then something I just got such a feeling of deja vu of 2020, because I was so convinced in 2020 we had this. And then I'm just like little things I'm seeing. We got a bunch. Look, so we have a bunch of stuff we're going to play tonight. But Nick, you did a video today. You got like, what do you got? 60,000 views right now or something?
I'm at 100,000 views.
No way.
100,000.
That's bigger than anything we've ever done on our channel.
It's honestly what's so good about I think it all is just, it's the random one-offs that you do. I think that's the thing with you guys. If you ever do any type of YouTube stuff, it's the random stuff that people like. It's like the stuff that you try to make look good, it just always falls
you
flat.
catch like the algorithmic wave sometimes, and it was like the perfect recipe, because it's election eve. Everybody's starving for election stuff, and they want to hear predictions and things like that. And you just went with such a simple title. It was just my final prediction, my final prediction. I only got to listen to like 5 minutes of it. I couldn't even catch up and see what you actually said, but I'm kind of glad I didn't, because I want to hear your thoughts tonight. I'm going to play some doom and gloom stuff that I'm a little worried about with just the Thiel, man. Like I'm so worried that we're going to have a repeat of 2020. There's a lot of shenanigans going on right now, but then on the other hand, I mean, can I play a Trump clip real quick? Because this Trump clip, and then we'll talk about your friend. But this Trump clip, like, this is why I think it is so vital that we all actually go out and vote for Trump. Let me see if I have to shrink this. Hang on. How the hell do I do this? Oh, man. We spoke too soon.
We spoke too soon.
Say, no, I got it.
Hey, there you go. Then you just add it, and then you should be good.
Hang on. Let me add this to the stage.
There you go.
Back. Now, let's see. I want to make this big.
The past 9 years all comes down to the.
No, that's not what we want to do. We
want to just push. You push that one like that.
Yeah, that right there, right?
Yeah, and that'll probably be.
There we go. Okay, guys, here we go. Ready?
Say it loud and clear. Everything we've been fighting for so hard to achieve for the past 9 years all comes down to the next 2 days. Think of it. We've worked in this for 9 years, and we got a phony press. We got a lot of crooked people out there. We're fighting like a son of a gun. We're fighting. They are fighting so hard to steal this damn thing. Look at what's going on. Look at what's going on in your state. Every day, they're talking about extending hours and stuff. Who ever heard of this stuff? We should have 1 day voting and paper ballots. Then I just heard that a couple of states may go an extra 12 days. How the hell do you have an election? You know, they spend all of this money on these damn machines, and paper ballots, you'd have the answer by 9 o'clock tonight. It's a damn shame. And I'm the only one that talks about it because everyone's afraid to damn talk about it. And then they accuse you of being a conspiracy theorist. These are conspiracy, and they want to lock you up. They want to put you in jail. The ones that should be locked up are the ones that cheat on these horrible elections that we go through in our country.
I wonder if we're going to get.
And I don't know what's going to happen, but for future elections, I won't be even a part of it. But you ought to damn well go to paper ballots. You ought to go to voter ID. And you ought to have the election over by 9 o'clock. I'm hearing now they're going to take weeks. Can you imagine? They spend all this money on machines, and they're going to say, we may take an extra 12 days to determine.
I mean, and get the gist of it, right? And first off, I gotta say this: Joe Diodati, you're in Australia. You have nothing to say.
Australians have no rights, bro.
Yeah,
No
Joe, you're in
rights.
Australia.
They're just
I
a
love
bunch
you,
of
brother.
criminals. They're a bunch of criminal expats from England, bro.
I love you, brother, but come on, you gotta hope for this win as much as we do, though. Yeah, look. The thing is, you're already seeing the seeds being planted. With which this was what happened in 2020, where what they did was a color revolution. Essentially, they seeded the stories. This is what the CIA does, man. I'm telling you, they drop stories out to prepare you for what they're going to do. Now, the thing is, we can, hoping to God that we can overwhelm this thing so much that we have to have things that are unexpected to them, like New Jersey is starting to look like they could even flip. It's got to be such a freaking landslide that they cannot, because if we hear stop the count on election night, I'm going to lose it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I would say, just a white pillow people a little bit. If you're a capitalist right now, this is the perfect time to be throwing out good videos on the subject of the steal, right? Because you'll get lots of clicks, lots of traffic. So just know that one reason we are a lot talking about it is a lot of us have PTSD from 4 years ago, and it makes sense, right? It's election eve. But I would say, yeah, don't lose hope entirely. We'll get into it because I do actually have an opinion upon this that I touch upon in my video. If we can we pull my friend's story up? It's just like a minute. I want to go over this. So I'll introduce this. So this real quick before this is election related, y'all. I have a friend who lives here in Central Texas with me, and he had a close friend, very devout young Catholic man who would go to mass every day and practice his faith, etc. He just recently passed away. But there's an inspiring story attached to it. So first off, he passes away on All Souls Day, which is, I think, a grace because of all of the prayers of the church taking place on that day. He also, during all of that, right, he got to receive extreme unction. He got to receive the sacraments of the church. He died of leukemia, tragically. That was the cause of death. But one of the last things he did was he said, Mom, Dad, I need to get a ballot. I need to vote. And he voted for President Trump. And in his message that he gave his parents, this was kind of a message that he wanted people to pass along, right? And the message was, everyone needs to do what they can to get out as many votes as possible, because it is going to be our children's future on the line. Now, you guys hear that. You hear politicians say that. You hear news anchors say that. But it's true. A lot of Gen Z guys like this young man recognize that there is not realistically going to be a good future if we don't get President Trump into office. So I would just say, for all of the people that are like, blackpilling and things like that, and freaking out, just take an advice from him and do your best to go vote.
Okay, so also tonight, guys, super chats are very much appreciated, because if you guys like me and Nick doing the politics thing, you got to help support us a little bit, because we don't know how these shows go over generally. But if you guys do like them, we will continue doing them. Super chats are a great way to encourage us to continue with those. Nick, what do you say about the Fuentes critique of Trump, that he sold out to the people of the old covenant, increased legal immigration, and stapling green cards to diplomas to get the support of big tech? JD Vance ties to Peter Thiel. Curious.
Yeah, those are good questions. So first off, Trump has always been a tacit supporter of the state of Israel, but not to the degree in which people would like to assume. And one big evidence of that actually came out last week, which unfortunately I'm not hearing a whole lot of the Fuentes fans talk about. This was, Trump called Bibi Netanyahu, and he said, look, I'm getting into office. When I get into office, you need to put an end date on this war. I want you to give me a date and we're done, right? You need to stop. That is pretty big, right? And it kind of ties in along with Trump's broader foreign policy, which is that he just does not want war. He'll support Israel, I think, for the sake of diplomacy, right? Because that's just the thing.
I mean, can I take a little stab at this also? I mean,
Yeah,
this is
go for it.
the idea that you'll ever get a candidate that is not going to do the Israel thing. Like, you guys will never get a candidate.
Not for a long time.
You're nowhere near, like, the propaganda that needs to be done against that whole thing on our end is going to take a very long time. Like, you're dealing with a few generations of people who were just inundated with propaganda to believe that Israel is the one democracy in the Middle East and they're our greatest ally. And, like, you just have to understand that there's not going you have to understand we're not going to get you're not going to get a candidate that's going to talk like that for a long time. So regardless of that issue, you just kind of have to take that into account. There's not going to be a candidate like that on the line. What was the other criticism?
Green
JD
cards.
Vance, Peter Thiel. I like
Yeah.
JD Vance, man. I honestly do.
Too.
I think that the life issues are my biggest contention this election, but I think there's something so much bigger at stake, and it has to do with what Trump said, which is, if you're not voting for Trump necessarily in this, you are voting against the deep state. Like, if they took the most inept person imaginable who did not get elected to, like, she didn't win any primaries, they just stuck a Manchurian candidate in with absolutely no idea what she is doing, almost intentionally, it seems, to show us that I don't care who you want, how much more, like, we're going to stick the biggest idiot in the world up there. We're going to choose them. You're not even going to get to elect them in a primary anymore, and you're going to eat it, and we're going to be able to pull it off. And that's what I'm worried about, is because if Trump actually loses tomorrow, the signal that sends is so catastrophic to the American election system. It's that they can actually handpick someone who has no qualifications whatsoever. Because you have to, can you imagine Kamala Harris actually going in and trying to get something done? She's going to wake up every morning and say, what are my lines? What do I say? She does not have a single, she's not going to be able to get Republicans and Democrats together to get a policy done. Nothing like that. We are dealing with the biggest idiot in the history of presidential candidates ever.
I know. It's the sad thing about it is like, at least Biden, demented as he is a seasoned politician. So he understands how Washington works, and he uses that, unfortunately, for his advantage. But yeah, it's true. Mr. Zeldin, you bring up a good point. I personally think that the Fuentes thing, and this is just my opinion, but I personally think that the Fuentes thing is mostly young reactionary men who see the corruption in the world system and are reactionary. Fuentes isn't really a principled conservative. I call him a reactionary more than anything. Doesn't mean I don't agree with him on a host of issues and then disagree with him on a host of issues. I personally think we could find perhaps better role models. But overall, to this whole point about the election, I think what we could talk about, if you want to talk about it, is a little bit of our predictions of what we think is going to happen. Because I put out my prediction video.
Yeah. Talk me through what you actually think is going to happen. And then I have a lot of videos to play, guys, because I want to play some of the things that I'm worried about, but then also some positive things. Like, there's things that are not like early voting looks really bad for Democrats. So there's a bunch of things that I want to go through tonight, but I want to hear Nick's predictions right off the bat.
Yeah, we can actually get into that a little bit because it's part of my prediction. So essentially, if people want to go watch my video, it's pretty short. I give kind of a longer answer, but long story short, Trump is going to win the classic red states. That's just how it's going to be, right? There's no debate on that. Kamala Harris is going to win the classic blue states. But really, this election comes down to, give or take, 7 to 10 states. So there's been the 7 classic swing states that we've talked about all election year for you political junkies out there. Those are the 3 Rust Belt states, of Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan. And then also the Sun Belt states of North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada. Those are the swing states, right? Those are the big ones. So what are my predictions? Based off of the following, this is why personally I think Trump is more likely than not to win. And I'll add some exception cases of where I think he could not win. I think he's going to win Georgia, North Carolina, Arizona, and Nevada pretty handily. We see number one.
Whoa, you think he's taking Nevada easily?
Yeah, I do, because we see Nevada, for instance, historically votes 90+% in early voting, and the Republicans are way ahead. And so, and one of the reasons that they're way ahead is because they've managed to, not just in Nevada, but in all states, turn out low propensity voters. This is why our early voter rolls look so good, is it's not Republicans cannibalizing their vote, but it's low propensity voters, people meaning who haven't voted in the last 4 elections, or maybe just once or twice or something like that, coming out and voting. So he's going to take those states, I think, fairly handily. Now, I'll add this. When it comes to Arizona, I'll have one big asterisk to it. I think Trump will win Arizona. All the polls point to that pretty handily, including the best pollsters that we have, Atlas Intel, which is a grade A plus for polling. But, mark my words, everyone. Maricopa, exactly. Yeah,
John, I was just going to say Maricopa County is just
Maricopa County. That's my big asterisk, which is we've seen them already say, which we'll get into probably some videos talking about the subject. 13 days, 14 days, and Trump is right. Like, we shouldn't think about it. Like, France does their election in one night. There's no reason on earth that we should be doing this.
Nick, we've never not had the election results that night, other than the 2000 with Bush and Gore. Yeah. It's always election. And the only reason Bush and Gore was an issue was because there was some hanging chads and flying. It was just one state we were waiting on. And it was because there was some, but never in a million election, we'll have them in 200 and something elections, did we not know the election results that night? It's preposterous to think that we won't know them that night. The only reason you wouldn't know them that night is because there are shenanigans going on, right? Yeah. So even the idea here's what all the things you're about to say, I'll say this. If you don't know on election night, like if the victory is not that resounding on election night, I really worry that Trump, if it goes into lawfare, I'm not hopeful at all.
No, I agree with you. This kind of gets into why I think it's going to be tight in certain states. So I think he wins the Sun Belt states fair, and which, by the way, Trump has way more paths to victory than Kamala Harris. If you guys look at the polls, you also look at the early voting results that we do have. Harris has one path, just one, to make it to the presidency. She has to win all 3 Rust Belt states: Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. She has to. If she loses one of them, it's over for her. Like, you can call it
Michigan and Pennsylvania?
Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. She has to win all 3. And you know what's sad about that is that if she wins all 3, that just puts her at 270 even. That's it. So that's what they're banking on. That's why she's done 4 rallies today in Pennsylvania. She's banking on everything with that. Trump only needs to win 1. As an example, if Trump was to say win Georgia and North Carolina and then win Pennsylvania, the election's over. He wins immediately. There's way more paths that I could get into, but that's the short and stick of it. So where do I think those states are going to go? Well, Wisconsin, I think, is going to go for Trump because, generally speaking, of the 3 states, Wisconsin is the most conservative state. Michigan, there's been a lot of talk about how is the Muslim vote going to be. Plus, you have the really corrupt government with
that's what
like that.
Nick,
where is that going to go?
I almost think all of this is just
like, well, all of it could be, like theory, but the thing is it's like until we actually have legit doom pill results, all I can go on is
no. Listen, but no, because I think you're even underestimating.
Oh, I think
he's doing. I think I am too. I think he has such overwhelming support that I think even these polls where they're like he's up 5 points. No, I think he is in blowout territory if it's legit. But I think you're going to see the same. It's so funny because the only states that can't get their results on election night are the ones that are swing states, right? The ones that go back and forth. All the other states, it's like, oh yeah, we got our tallies in, we'll give you the answer. But those swing states, those are the ones that are shady. Like if you remember back in 2020, there was a story of a mailman leaving Bethpage, Long Island, and heading to Pennsylvania to deliver back. Like, there was such crazy stuff going on in 2020, and that's what I'm like. This whole thing is just me worried about what they're going to do tomorrow, or if it's even possible for them. Now, the other angle of this is, after 2020 happened, if you even tried to talk about this stuff on X or Twitter back then, you were done, right? So the difference this time will be that you're not going to get canceled for bringing this stuff up. You're also going to have a lot of very powerful voices calling out the shenanigans too. You're going to have RFK, you're going to have Elon, so I really don't know what their propaganda mechanism is going to look like. It's not going to look like 2020.
No, and that's why I've said, like, there's a lot more room to be optimistic, because there's so many more poll watchers. There's so many. The GOP is just glued to this thing because Laura Trump is essentially, right, the vice president of it. As some people pointed out in the chat, in Michigan, the Arab vote is significant because there's hundreds of thousands of them. The Arab vote was actually the one that cost Hillary Clinton the state in 2016.
Really?
Yeah, it was, because they decided to go slightly more toward Jill Stein, which just, essentially shaved off a few points, ended up taking over. So I think that the Muslim vote, of course, there'll be a fair amount that goes to Harris. I think there's, though, a large amount that will abstain, also a large amount that will go for Stein again, and then there's a lot that will go for Trump, because Trump has gone to them, and this is another good reason of why I think that people need to kind of chill out with the whole covenant thing with him, because he's going to them and he's making deals and he's saying, like, I don't want to have war. I want to just end this thing, which is good. We can at least take it, right? That's a step at least in the right direction. Stapling green cards to associate degrees is insane. Housing is unaffordable as it is. Bringing a bunch of Indian and Chinese to take the jobs is terrible. I agree with this. Well, so what he's done is Trump has wanted... Oh, what's up, Enoch? Good that you're here, brother. Here's what to consider. If they pull off the same shenanigans as they did in 2020, why indict him? Why try to delete him? Why not keep Biden in? Why go through all of the trouble? It's a very good point, honestly, because really, when you think about it, so many more people are glued to this thing than normal. I had one of you guys, actually one of you guys subscribers. You mentioned to me, you messaged me today that they live in Denton County here in Texas, which is Dallas area. And the polling place that this individual's mother went to, they found the ballots this morning for tomorrow, and someone had, it was, written ballots, and someone had written in Kamala Harris on every single one of them. So they managed to catch it.
Yeah.
And they tossed it all, right? Which is a good thing, Anyway, point is, there's a whole lot of chance to be optimistic. So my whole prediction, long story short, without boring you guys, if you want to watch the whole thing, go watch my video.
Okay,
but
so all right, even with this, I think you're first off, Trump won PA in 2016. I think that if with the voter turnout is going to be astronomical for Trump. I really do think, because of what happened in 2020, there is going to be like this last ditch effort from Republicans.
Yeah.
I do think by going on Rogan and by going on all those, I think they motivated a younger generation that were not politically, not even thinking politically. There's a lot of people who don't care about politics, and I think that he managed to get. I think there's going to be a lot of young men going to the polls that typically
a lot of young men,
because,
a lot of unions too. They're going to be jumping ship. A lot of the actual Amish, as I say in my video, the real Amish out there, they will be voting in Pennsylvania. There's a lot of room to be hopeful. I think the only two states that you really have to watch are going to be Arizona because of Maricopa, and then Pennsylvania because of the mail drop box. I think those are the big things that you'll have to wonder. But the reason, again, I think that there's a lot of room to be hopeful is that when you look at the early vote returns, Republicans are doing fantastic. And whenever you look at it in comparison to 2020, we're doing fantastic. And a lot of them are low propensity voters. Historically, Republicans vote on election day in mass numbers. Those are good reasons to vote for it. So I'm going to answer this real quick. Nick, have you seen the latest Trump pro-choice ads? Because this goes in with the ghost of Aunt Jemima, where she's talking about voting or abstaining. Trump isn't the same as 2016. I would say two things to this. Number one, Trump's positions really have not changed that much. If individuals think that he's just been this hyper pro-life person, go back and literally watch his first interview that he did, where he gets asked point blank on this question, and he gives all the reasons why he would be lenient when it comes to certain methods of abortion and stuff like that. Trump is a moderate. He is a moderate candidate. We cannot expect a perfect candidate. And this is one reason why I'm going to tell you guys, if there is a genuinely an actual close election and people stick it out, you will have a lot bigger issues with Kamala Harris as president. You will just have a lot bigger issues. As just one example, if the Trump tax cuts are not continued in 2025, experts are predicting we're going to have upwards of 8 or 9% unemployment, not to mention all the other inflation.
I just think if we can't stop, like if we can't stop the deep state at this point, because it is the most critical thing in the world to at least try and hold them back a little bit. Like this election to me is not about any of those. It is the economy, it is the war stuff, but to me it's more just we cannot let that system that is in place win, because that system is so freaking dangerous. And if they get this through, next comes digital ID, next, digital currency, next, like every single thing they want to ram through, they ram through without a single stopgap. It will be like everybody thinks it's going to be, it'll, like even Elon was saying, it's going to be a blue wave. It'll be like California where it's just Democrats win every time. It's not about Democrats winning. It's about them selecting whatever idiot they want to go in. And it's not Democrat or Republican at that point. It's really not. You like the things they keep us arguing about these things. It's really just them having the power to pick anyone they want. And it doesn't matter. They just want a mouthpiece. They picked Joe Biden purposely because he wouldn't govern. They're picking Kamala purposely because she will not govern. They do not want they don't want a Democrat that gets in that will even say, no, this is what we want to do. We want to do something to help the American people. They don't want even a Democrat like that. They want a puppet in there that will do exactly what they say and put on a good show for people to make them think there's somebody running the ship.
Yeah, exactly. And the
Avatar politics is exactly what this is.
Yes. Avatar politics. Genuinely, I mean, you saw Rogan, he grilled Fetterman the other day on this topic of immigration, and he said, we see that there is coordinated efforts amongst Democrats to move mass amounts of migrants to swing states so that if Kamala Harris is president, then amnesty can take place, and then therefore you get an extra 100,000 voters in Pennsylvania or wherever, we're talking about some real stuff. And this is why I had a comment today that really stuck out with me. There's this guy who's pro-choice. He's not a Catholic. A lot of the viewers today were not Catholics. It's 100,000 different people. One of them said, I'm not Catholic. I'm pro-choice. But I will say this to you guys. The pro-life movement is going to lose because you're not tactful, strategically tactful. Instead of going and taking as much ground as possible, as realistically possible. So, voting for a bill that says limits abortion to 6 weeks or something like that, right? You guys will rather say, well, no, we have to be absolute purists, and then therefore you lose. My friends, it's at best only 13% of the population agrees with us, unfortunately, on this issue.
We have to do a complete revamp of how we do pro-life propaganda, because it is propaganda, right? And the thing is, we all I'm sorry, it's become social media stardom. Like that's what we're dealing with now. It's the people that run the pro-life movement are typically women, and they're typically more concerned with how they look as an influencer and their power as their online power and things like that. And that's got to change. We have to actually win hearts and minds over on this issue. And I kind of don't want it to be a federal issue anymore. I don't want to vote for president based on that. I want us to do something different with the pro-life movement where we're actually winning hearts and minds over to it. I understand people's hesitance to think like that, but it's, I'm tired of them them picking a candidate that we're forced to vote for based solely on the fact that they're pro-life. Like, how many Republicans did we have to vote? We got Bush, we got freaking like all the freaking guys that we were forced to vote for just because they held the pro-life position. Like, we were manipulated through our beliefs
Every
for
single
so
one of
long,
these,
for so many presidents.
yeah, every single one of these past Republicans, all the neocons, they gave you pro-life talking points to get votes. But then if you actually watch or read everything they say, Romney would say things like, you know, I believe that abortion's okay when it comes to those certain contexts that are generally brought up. Bush did the same thing. McCain did the same thing. And they all said, we want it to be a state issue. So the GOP, like, sure, on paper has gotten a little bit more left, but its candidates have essentially been the same, which has been a state by state issue. And I think you're right, Anthony. Ultimately, we have to win hearts and minds. My dad said a long time ago to me, Nick, you can't legislate morality. And I disagree with that to a degree. Like, there's certain like with murder, of course, you have to legislate that. But when it comes down to it, unfortunately, women are still going to go and get abortions, just like there will be criminals who will continue to murder and continue to steal. Ultimately, if the pro-life movement wants to succeed, it has to actually go and touch people's lives instead of just regulating, because otherwise you are going to have a situation which is one of the contexts in which I think Harris could win. So I actually gave three reasons why, or three contexts I think Harris could potentially win. One is shenanigans, which we've kind of talked about. Two,
I think that's the only way she wins, but okay.
yeah, the second one was, and this was one, I gave two that I said would be licit, meaning that there was no shenanigans and it was just legitimate, like a ton of people showed up. Two was all the women out there, just that's their issue, that's all they focus on, and they come out in mass numbers
this
on
whole
abortion.
election is based on murdering your children.
Exactly, which would make the pro-lifers look completely ridiculous then, because it's like, it goes to show that like the movement's completely fallen apart for women. And then the third context was, if social conservatives don't get out and vote and they're just being purists, essentially it's like one friend of mine said, like, we have a lot of Catholics, unfortunately, who are kind of acting like Pharisees at the moment and saying, well, I will not look at him because he's not perfect. And it's like, man, like, you got to do what you got with what you got, you know?
I think you really have to consider what I was just saying about, think about how many candidates we almost were blackmailed into supporting because they paid lip service to the pro-life movement and they never meant a word of it. It was just lip service they gave, and then we're bound by conscience to support the guy who paid lip service. So not a single Republican has ever done anything to pull back any restriction, like to put more restrictions on that whole issue. It's just something that we've had. No, we're pro-life, we have to vote this way. It's like it's blackmail is what it is. None of them mean it, and I don't think we've ever had a Republican in there that actually did anything for the pro-life movement. I think Trump
Except
did.
for Trump. Like, literally,
Trump did.
He just put the justices in there and he was like, you guys take care of it. And then they tossed it.
Yeah, and
he's like,
that's
all right, states figure it out.
That's all we can do is get somebody in there that's going to get conservative judges in there who actually believe the way we do. But yeah, it's all right. Why don't we jump to another video and let's see what you think on this.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, let me see. Hang on. Let me say. All right, I gotta bring this back over here. Put this up.
Oh yeah, this is an interesting one.
The way I said, so she wins North Carolina. We could be living here in Nevada, waiting and waiting and waiting. And if you remember, Nevada will take a week to count all their votes.
Well, because they go 4 days after.
And you'll have more ballots coming in.
Yeah.
And then you're really going to be used a lot on air, because this is going to be lawyers upon lawyers litigating which ballots can get fixed or cured is the language you'll start to see, those provisional ballots. So the nightmare scenario where we're just waiting for weeks, sort of the Florida of 2000.
See, that to me is the nightmare scenario, because this to me sounds like narrative seeding. Okay. This to me sounds like, because I really do think once we get into that territory of lawfare, I think we're in trouble. Because if you think back to 2020, every case Trump tried to bring, people will make the claim, they're like, oh, well, Trump lost every lawsuit. No, he didn't. Every single case that went before a judge, they dismissed on the grounds of no standing.
Mm-hmm.
It was like they would say, oh, you have no standing here. It's like, how can we bring our cases to a court if the court won't actually? None of those courts heard any of the cases. Even the Supreme Court, who were all like, oh, Trump's got his conservative Supreme Court. Even the Supreme Court failed to hear cases that they should have heard.
Yeah,
it was
and a
because they kind of wanted
elected system. Someone has the right to protest what they think is unjust, particularly if they have evidence, and evidence should at least be shown, as particularly if it's the president of the United States, someone of that type of office. It's why I think you're right, Anthony. I think there is a bit of narrative seeding, but at the same time, I didn't put it in our chat. I probably should have, but some of you guys who are on Twitter, you might have seen this the other day. It was going around, trending pretty well. It was the leaked clip from MSNBC that was supposed to be a test one, but it was of them talking about Trump's victory. Did you guys see that? I don't know if you guys saw
it.
that.
Yeah. They put it up. Talking about Trump's victory?
Trump's victory. So there was 2 leaks. So there was the one like from a week and a half ago about ABC. It was a local ABC station that had it on the bottom, testing Harris wins Pennsylvania, but it was by like a stupid margin, like 7 points. But then 2, there was yesterday or the day before, MSNBC leak that was them. It was a full 5-minute clip of them talking, breaking down everything of Trump winning. And people were saying, okay, why would this thing be a thing? Why would they be talking for 5 minutes? Is this maybe, some footage that they're just going to put in, if you will, because, on election night or
Why didn't you put that clip in the show notes? I want to see this clip.
Yeah, I can send it to you if you want. You can play.
Send it to me. Yeah. Let's put it in the show notes.
Okay.
Yeah, I can send it to you if you want. Yeah, I want to see that clip. That's actually really interesting. So wait, that was a clip of them discussing Trump winning as if it happened already?
Yeah, exactly. And it was something very, very interesting. I'll try to see if I can find it, but it's pretty good. But long story short, this is just that kind of the case point. People have to go vote because if we don't, and we do have a really close election, we might have some type of seed planning more easily manipulated. But then also, this is what I do think. Here's my question to you, Anthony. We already see a ton of distrust in elections, a ton of distrust in courts, a ton of distrust in medicine and media. My question is, with these liberals, what is their long-term game that they're wanting to play? Because again, as I talked about with you last week, part of me thinks, whether it's the economic crisis that's looming or whatever, part of me thinks that they would rather give Trump this win. Particularly if you see
happen under his watch.
Yeah, because it's like also, if you think about this, Harris has pulled out all of her campaign stuff in this last week from Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, and she's moved it all to Virginia. Why? It's because Virginia is in play. Why would she be doing that if she was knowingly going to be just so far ahead because ballot printers go burr, because of, selections type of stuff? Those are the questions that make me wonder, okay, are they actually just going to cede this to Trump because they know that long-term it's going to be beneficial for them?
Yeah, look, we've already had this conversation, right? It's like, okay, you let Trump win this. It gives you a chance to regather your base and you want to. But I think that we are still making the mistake of thinking this is Democrat versus Republican. And I think Democrats think they're actually voting for a Democrat right now, and they're not. Like they just happen to have the vehicles of power behind them at the moment. But those vehicles of power will use any party they see fit. They just want their person in. And I think that's the one thing they hate about Trump is that he was not chosen by them. Like all these elections we've had in the past, whether it was Bush versus Gore, like any of those, either candidate winning would have been fine for them because they still had it.
Yeah,
it was the same thing. It's just the wars would have been the same. Everything. It's just something is different about Trump, and I think that what we've seen them put him through over the past 8 years, but specifically the past year with all the lawfare and all that stuff, makes me think they really don't want him still, man.
I don't think they do either, but this is one reason why it's like, I mean, again, long term, is it beneficial?
I
for
will
them?
find a way to delete this person from ever watching our channel again if they're writing in Bobert
And Rose.
No, that is not happening. I'm sorry,
Part-
Nick. I cut you off.
No, you're fine. Part of me, this is just why though. It's like the Dems are great at playing long-term game, and this is partially why I think that it's more likely than not that they will allow Trump to win because of one, all of the massive amount of enthusiasm that we do see that's going to be voting for him, but then number two, long-term, it can help them because it's like this, Anthony. Her base is only going it's only her base that's showing up to vote for her, really. She has no enthusiasm outside of her base.
Yeah.
And even in her base, it's very little enthusiasm. So you have to build a coalition. Like the Obama coalition that we saw in 2008 and 2012 of, the BIPOC, right, of all the minorities together with enough of the white working class. That's shattered.
Yeah,
Trump is going to get the unions. He's gotten a huge percent. I estimated in my video about 65% of white working class. A ton of the black vote, particularly black young men, or they're just going to be sitting it out because they don't want to vote for her, and a ton of the Hispanics, so much that they're questioning, okay, the Hispanics actually might be the new big conservative bloc in the United States, particularly because of cultural Catholicism. That base that was in 08 is shattered. So you have to rebuild it. If they take it and they win tomorrow, whether by, legitimate way or by crook, they're going to have to deal with the pending economic crisis and a very awkward, weird person in the White House for 4 years, right? She's going to have to be in charge of all of that. And you know that if she does a bad job, particularly on economics, she's going to get trounced.
Yeah.
Every male will just vote for her, against her immediately. So this is why I think long term it might make sense to allow Trump to win.
Yeah, I just worry that this whole thing. Rob sent me something.
Have you voted yet, Anthony? I was curious if you.
I'm voting tomorrow. No, I'm voting.
Okay,
tomorrow.
You're an election guy, election day voter.
Yeah, I like voting on election day because I see a lot of shenanigans with the early voting even happening. I saw Scott Presler, who did a lot of the pushing for the early voting, and he flipped a lot. He got a lot of Republicans registered and stuff. He was saying something about like when you're sending in your vote, you got to check the website and make sure that it actually like there's I just like to go in on election day and vote, and it's just. But
I get you. Yeah.
So Rob said they let us think for the last few weeks that Trump had it in the bag so that when he loses, there will be real anger and they'll finally get a true January 6th, which will be their version of the Reichstag fire. Like part of what I'm seeing people saying it. Okay, so January 6th, 2021, that all those show trials and putting people away for 20 plus years and all that stuff, all of that was, I think, to scare anybody off from even considering protesting these results. That, like I don't care how out in the open they are about what they do this time. You're going to tell me people are not going to be hesitant to go and march on the Capitol or do something crazy like that. It's like the amount of people that got so unjustly persecuted and put in prison for 20 plus years. Like it's even if nothing else, you got to get Trump in just to pardon those people, because those people literally went to an event and walked in with open doors and the cops welcomed them in, and these people got 20 plus years. Like even for nothing else, just to pardon those poor innocent people, all they did was love their freaking country.
Yeah. So this one, I just want to say something about. Guys, the American system is the problem no matter who wins. Americanism is a heresy. Well, America is not a heresy. Americanism is a heresy. There has to be a distinction, because in the condemnation of Pope Leo XIII against the heresy of Americanism, it explicitly praises the United States for many of its virtues and says that we should be very loyal patriots, which a lot of trads, unfortunately, are just not. But Americanism, the heresy at its root, is changing the faith to be more palatable to Protestants. Oh, does that sound familiar? I.e., Vatican II. There you go. That's real Americanism right here. Not. And Kale might be mad at me for the last part of that statement. It's okay, Kale. But you guys, what I'm saying? Americanism is not patriotism. That makes our movement, the trad movement, look like we don't read, which probably a lot of you guys don't.
This is an interesting theory. So the governors of PA and so Whitmer and Shapiro, they want to run, so they don't want the Kamala Garg to win.
Kamala Garg. Well, that is there is truth to that, because part of the reason, if you remember back when she was selecting her VP candidate, part of the fear was about people like Newsom. They didn't want to be involved with her because they thought that she more likely than not would lose, and they didn't want their name associated with her, because Newsom will run, my friends. I predict it now. It's not hard. He will run in 2028. No doubt. He's going to run for president.
So this is also okay. So where's Antifa and BLM been?
Did you see the head of BLM today endorsed Trump today?
So
Okay, it was funny.
This is how you know what a sham those organizations are. Those organizations were used to stir up insanity around the 2020 election. Okay, while Trump was still president, right? It was to make the Trump presidency seem, look at the chaos that's going on while he's president. This is so crazy. As soon as Joe Biden gets in, they turn that faucet off, and you never saw another. Look how normal things are now. There's no more riots. They're not burning cities down now. All of that was to make people think normalcy had returned. And you'll see those groups return again if they're needed.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. Senor Luis, not to be stereotypical there, but I don't think I'm downplaying Americanism plaguing American Catholicism. If anything, I'm kind of well known for criticizing modern day Catholicism. It's kind of my thing. But I understand. You're right, Anthony. I mean, it was, those groups were whipped up by George Soros and by communists to cause great distress and division in the United States so that Trump would look bad. And that's partially, again, why I think it's more likely than not Trump to get in, because, I mean, the thing is this, they don't have a good base. Like it's falling apart. So we'll just have to see. Hey, what's up, Peter? Peter's a good friend of mine. Shout out to Peter. He's a good guy.
He was a good friend. He would have thrown more than $2 up there.
He's another gen. We're all broke. That's why he told me today. He said, I'm gonna go stuff ballot boxes for Trump today. Like,
I got my son to get all his friends to go.
Hey, let's go.
My son is excited. This is his first election. He gets to vote in.
That's right. Yeah, he's 18. Yeah,
he's 18 now. He's pumped. So he was in the car with his friends the other day, and they were driving somewhere. And I called him. I'm like, Nick, make sure you talk to your friends about voting. He's like, Dad, I got 5 of them in the car right now. Tell these idiots how important it is to vote. I had a whole conversation with his friends in the car the other day. I'm like, you idiots, if you don't go out and vote, you're going to be the first ones they ship off to Ukraine. I don't know what you guys are thinking. So they actually, while they were in the car driving, they like registered his friend to vote in the car.
That's great. That's great.
All right, let's see what other videos we got. Let me see. I got
Ghost Aunt Jemima. I just got to let you know, when it comes to my answer to this, is that I personally like steak and eggs for breakfast. So.
Okay, this one. So this is this one. Right, let me. This one is interesting. Let's see.
Oh, this would be good.
This one is interesting because this goes to the
What's their biggest concern right now if you're the Harris team?
Well, look, I think it's a couple things. The early vote numbers are a little scary, and you and I have been texting back and forth. Republicans didn't do what they did last time. Last time Trump said don't early vote, and so they didn't. Republicans do have an advantage in early vote numbers. When the early vote come in, it's going to look a little bit different than 2020, and that's scary.
So that's what I don't think they had any idea what they were going to be dealing with the early voting. Like, the early voting turnout has been really good for Republicans, right? Like, way different than 2020.
Yeah, low propensity voters in particular. So if people go and actually like really nerd out, if they want to, on 2020's election, they will find that a vast majority of early votes for Democrats were low propensity voters, people who had voted only maybe once or twice in the past 4 presidential elections. That is completely flipped now. The Republicans have done a fantastic job because, and what's good about that, I'll use a car analogy. The Republicans have so much extra gas now to run on because on to like tomorrow, Anthony is the living proof of this. They're going to go to the polls and hopefully swamp everything. I just got to say, Aunt Jemima, look, I'm not interested. It's just how it is. I just gotta let you down. Go find yourself a nice Jewish boy, because Rob sent me some photos and it looks like you're Jewish. So go find a nice Jewish boy somewhere and
oh, stop. She's not Jewish.
Hey, Rob sent me stuff. He's being a homie. So
all right, so let's see. Goes Trump. Trump is just to stall the deep state. I'm looking forward to a Vivek presidency next. No, but you might see Vance with a Vivek vice president.
Cool. That'd be cool, because like they're classmates. That'd be kind of cool. That'd be a story right there. But I think you're right. You could see that.
That would be man, I freaking like Vance a lot. I think he's very normal. I think that, look, everybody's like, oh, the Peter Thiel connection. You're just never gonna get guys in there that aren't that. But I think Vance is an isolationist, and that's what we want. We want
isolationist, nativist, yeah.
We want people that are going to look out to, like, Vance genuinely cares about the people that are struggling in these parts of the country that were hardest hit, by immigration and things like that. And it would be good to see somebody in that actually cares about fixing things for people who are struggling the most right now.
I agree. Because that's what politics should be about, is helping take care of your own population. It's so sad. This is one reason why I'm so gung-ho for just trying to see some reform, is that we've spent so much of this election can be pitted as the dying establishment of neocons and neoliberals, whose sole major focus is world building and interventionism through wars in particular, versus an isolationistic foreign policy, right? Yeah, save the cats, vote for Trump. I agree. Also save the squirrels and the raccoons. They need our help. But that's really what it comes down to. So here's my question for you then, Anthony. So people have heard my prediction, but I'm curious, like, what is your prediction, removing like the temptation of doom pilling, right? Some of the temptations.
I honestly think that Trump has this thing. I think he's very far ahead. You know what? I actually want to actually find what I just saw.
You guys heard about the squirrel stuff, right? In the chat, you guys heard about the squirrel stuff, man. But that made me so mad. That squirrel story. You heard about that, Anthony?
Yeah,
it's in your state. Yeah, and good.
Yeah.
What's wrong with New York, bro? Like,
well, the thing is, the story is awful. But I'm also hearing that those two have like an OnlyFans or something. Like, and that there's some.
See, look, we have proof here, Anthony. I wasn't lying, Anthony. We have proof.
Oh, I didn't know that. Crap. I don't know how.
Aunt Jemima, go find yourself a nice Catholic boy up there in New Jersey. He'll make you happy. He'll make you happy. I'm not really into syrup, to be honest. Not really a syrup kind of guy. I'm more of a steak and eggs kind of guy at the end of the day. So find yourself some nice pancakes up there.
I saw a clip of Trump saying, I'm not supposed to say this. I know everybody tells me I'm not supposed to say this because they think it'll make people not want to go to the polls, but we're ahead. We're way ahead. He's like, we're leading in all the swing states. We're up by 5-6 points in all the swing, because they do their own internal polling, right? And we talked about this.
Hey, look,
when you saw Trump,
he's proving you wrong. Another $2. Continue. Yeah.
That we talked about this last time, where it was like, they do their own internal polling, and Trump wasn't running through those swing states. He was coming to New York. He was going to Bronx barber shops, and he was doing a bunch of stuff that just was baffling if you think about it, because he should be in those battleground states and really pumping his message out. So you have to think part of it is their internal polling is showing things are looking really good.
Yeah,
for him to be going that route. So that's something that leads me to be hopeful, right? Also, the couple of stories I saw that looked like there was shenanigans going on, it looked like they were on top of them. Like the Trump campaign knew what was going on, and they were checking them out. I want to play this one clip of the what's her name? The I don't know if she's the attorney general. Hang on. it has to do with Dominion voting, and
Oh yeah.
I saw this one. Let me see. Oh,
I don't think I've seen this clip. It should be interesting.
really? Wait,
I
hang
don't
on.
think so. It didn't look familiar.
Oh no, I think I'm stuck in here. Hang on, let me see.
I'm gonna start giving this channel thumbs down because Nick.
I have to just do the audio. Hang on. Let me see.
It is what it is, Aunt Jemima. Go find yourself a nice pancake out there. So.
Oh, what did I stop sharing? Oh, I stopped sharing on accident. All right, share screen.
Everyone, please super chat us so that we can pay Rob to force him to do political videos with us. There you go.
All right, let me add this. All right, hang on. I got this. Hang on. Let's see. You didn't see this?
I don't think it will play it. I might have, but doesn't look familiar.
Vance with specific
Yes.
Dominion. Why was that only caught in the past few days, and why can't it be fixed? I saw the release.
Yeah, this is a nationwide issue with Dominion voter access terminals in the counties that use them. And the voter access terminals, of course, not all the machines, just the ones that are accessible, have an issue with the straight party voting and a programming issue that's again affected the machines nationwide. And I think all of us that use Dominion machines were unhappy to learn about this during the testing period and as early voting began. So we're working with Dominion to seek accountability on that front, and also are working with our clerks to ensure voters are aware of this programming issue that will require them to ensure they are voting every section on the ballot.
That is a long-winded answer.
Voters to cross over in ways that a lot of others.
It's just crazy
Because
to
we
me
have
that
straight party. It's not struck me as I've talked to my other colleagues in other states. They're just as upset about it as we are. So yeah, of course.
like this is a couple of days out from the election. They're talking about which think about all the craziness that went around Dominion voting in the last one, and how many people had the lawsuits they brought up. Tucker Carlson got fired over the Dominion stuff. Like that was part of the settlement between Fox News and Dominion, was they had to fire Tucker.
Yeah. But they're doing it beforehand. Notice like this is all before the election, which tells me that people are on top of things and they're
That's what I'm
focused in like a laser. And so I'm like, okay, if the Dominion scheme is compromised, if there's so many more poll watchers, if there's there's just a lot more reasons I would say to be optimistic. But here's the thing. I know that if on next week when we do our next stream, right, and Trump is the victor, hopefully it will at least restore a little bit of faith in people, that we can do something.
If he is able to pull this off,
be the greatest political story of all time.
Yeah, and part of this whole thing is the story of it, right? It was kind of like in 2016, even though like I didn't think Trump would win, it was one of the sweetest endings to a story I had ever been a part of. You just saw this unbelievable story unfold, and then he won, and that night on election night 2016 was just the greatest night. It almost felt like you just were like, wait a minute, I never root for the winning team. Like, how does this, it's like your favorite team winning the World Series or the Super Bowl all in one. It was just such an amazing night to experience. They can never take that from us. And then as 2020 came around, I almost felt like, yeah, the story can't end like this. Like after 2020 happened, I'm like, the story just can't end like this. It just can't. It's just, that's not the way the story ends.
Yeah.
And I think that as this one comes around, if he doesn't win, the way this story ends, I'm okay. So I do want to say this to people. If he doesn't, and it's all because of shenanigans and all that, like no matter what happens, it is God's will.
Yeah.
We do have to kind of just say, okay, God knows what's happening and God has allowed this to happen. So I was in 8th grade and my dad woke me up at 3 a.m. to tell me Trump won. Wow, you guys are young.
It was my first election. I was 18. I stayed up till I think it was like 1 or 2 a.m. my time, and it was great. I was with my grandparents My grandfather, he's since passed away. My grandmother's in a home. So a lot's changed since then. But I think you're right, Anthony. I mean, it's like I joked about this online the other day, but I'm not the first one. 2016 was New Hope. 2020 was an Empire Strikes Back. And 2024 is supposed to be the Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. Okay. So what is this now? This is I think if this is the same guy I'm thinking of, like all of his 13 keys are ridiculous. They're like kind of stupid.
Yeah, so for people who don't know, Alan Lichtman is this professor who wrote a book a long time ago called 13 Keys to the White House, which essentially asserts that you have to have, I think it's like 6 or 7 keys, 6 or 7 accomplishments in order to become the president or if you are the president to get re-election. He's said that he's predicted every election since like 1980, correct? That's not entirely true. He did not predict 2000 correctly. But I would say if you actually go and you look at Alan Lichtman's prediction, he's predicting Harris will win. But if you actually read his whole prediction, he's given himself a lot of wiggle room. And so I wouldn't keep too much stock in that. Ultimately, the man's not a prophet. He's just a professor. That's all he is.
Yeah. And I think some of those keys, like he was giving to Kamala that she didn't really have. Like I saw something on it. It was like it was like a stretch. The guy was like, "Oh yeah, we're giving this one to Kamala."
Good economic times and like stuff like that. It was just like, what are you doing? And this is why when you look at a lot of there's been a lot of man on the street interviews. There's been a lot of like guys channels that have been going around the swing states, and you look at them and you see a lot of these guys are giving their predictions today, and they've been saying they think Trump's going to win based off of their interviews on the streets in the swing states. Why? Because most of the issues that people are concerned about are immigration or the economy, inflation, things like that. As opposed to when they do talk to the hardcore liberals, what are they talking about? January 6th. Okay, let's take a step back from partisan politics for a second. Realistically, how many Americans are really that concerned about January 6th at this point? Not a lot. Not a huge issue.
They do a good job of making Democrats think that was the end of the world.
They did, but it's just their base. That's it, So it's like you have to have your base plus typically in order to win. If I can give a few white pills for people, a few of the things that of one reason why I do think that Trump will win is number one, the Atlas Intel poll. It is the single best pollster out there. It was off in 2020 by 0.2. And then in 2022 by 0.3. It has Trump winning the national popular vote by 2 points. It has Trump winning all 7 swing states. When we also look at the other great indicator, we see that the Gallup Party ID, it's the greatest leading indicator. It's what do people identify politically as, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, what have you. It has never been plus Republican. It's plus Republican 2. And we've won, for instance, in 2016 when it's plus D3. So those are some good signs. The internal poll numbers, as you've talked about. Also, did you read about that? We could have made a whole section of this. Honestly, it's my bad. But did you hear about the news story a few days ago? Tim Cook, president of Apple, calling President Trump?
No.
He calls him. Why would he call him, do you think? A few days out from the election.
I don't know. Was it because of his phone that they hacked his phone, maybe? Or you think did they release why they talked?
No, but logic would tend to say that if there's a ton of newspapers like the Wall Street Journal who aren't endorsing Kamala, if this guy's a billionaire, he's got to have some inside sources on the pulse of the nation, which tells me he wants to be in good spirit, jovial spirit with the guy president who's probably going to win. And so this is why I think he's more likely than not. And then to answer Carol's question, people figure it out. What is my Twitter?
He's a very secretive. He hasn't even given it to me, Cal.
I've not given it to anybody yet. So if you guys can find it, let me know.
He hasn't given it to me. Do you tweet from it?
No, I don't. I just
you just read.
I just read. It's a news source. That's all it is for me.
Yeah.
I might post.
Twitter is by far the best place to go for news.
Yeah, I agree.
There's no better news source at this point. If I want to know what is going on, I have to scroll through Twitter. You don't find anything out on mainstream news outlets anymore. Everything you want is right there, and you see if something's happening. you make sure you follow the right accounts, and somebody will blast something out about it, and you find out what's going on faster there than you will anywhere else. And then I go to the people I like to go and listen to them break things down. Hopefully we're one of those sources for you guys to listen, break these things down, you know?
Yeah. I am a Twitter lurker, y'all. I'm just curious, real quick for Kale, you can put it in the chat, but are you becoming more trad? Like more trad? Is it Francis trad pilling you? It's a side question for him, but
Kale is always
like legitimately trad. We're not just talking about likes the incense and the Latin mass. I'm talking about real trad, you know?
No, I think he's a disaffected
Communio. We will
yeah, he's a disaffected communio guy. Like
we will give you scholasticism. Welcome, brother, to the manuals that actually give you answers that are precise, backed with the magisterium. It's not just Dinzinger theology, as the Nouvelle Theology would say. If you think I'm some kind of conservative, yes, the trad is the future. It is the future because it's inspired by the Holy Ghost, brother. It's just how it is. We're gonna win in the end of it.
Somebody said Joe Rogan just endorsed Trump.
Oh, did he? Oh, hold on. Let me check this out. Because if so, that's big. But I mean, it kind of makes sense because I mean, Kamala didn't want to do an interview with him.
Yeah. So the thing I'm wondering is how they'll handle the propaganda, being that in 2020 they had the ability to just you know, if you spoke out a lot, like the Twitter files changed everything. It's real.
Yeah, Trump announces major endorsement from Joe Rogan. Very, very cool.
Oh, that's interesting.
Very, very cool. After Trump wins, we're getting Richard Williamson in the Vatican. Bro, look, I'm just gonna say this, and you're gonna be mad at me, Sean, and all of the weird people who really like Fuentes, but then also don't like endorse his views on the NO, but then like Williamson. Williamson's only got like a few years left on this earth, bro. Just how it is. Just how it is.
Yeah, his last interview I saw, he's a little, you can see he's getting up there.
He's like Anthony after a couple drinks. He's just dragging around.
Hey, if you're in New York, this like our bishop had all the priests in the diocese read from the pulpit this week last week that there's a measure on the ballot to like allow trans kids and, you know, like allowing boys and girls sports and stuff, and the bishop had to read that, you know, from like it's not just Trump on the ballot when you're voting. You know, your local elections are very important, and it's you're hoping that if Trump does win, it's a down ballot win, like people going in voting Trump and then just down ballot, just Republican all the way down to see if he can actually get some stuff done, you know?
Yeah, straight ticket. I mentioned that actually a few weeks ago in the Avoiding Babylon chat, and I just had a bunch of people freak out on me because I was like, I had mentioned that I had gone and done early voting, and I said that in my local area there was like 3 or 4 local county elections that there was no Republican running. It was just an uncontested Democrat who was going to hold on to it. And so I was like, yeah, get involved in local politics. And then they went down the full everything is rigged, including the mayorship. Everything is rigged. I was like, well, that's one way to live, I guess. I like to try to make a difference in my personal life.
Yeah, I think the local politics we saw during COVID, how important your local government is. It's like the most important thing, because as much as they sit there and they talk about how Trump is a dictator and he's a tyrant, he actually did nothing during COVID. It kind of annoys me. He should have been a little bit of a dictator, but what he did was he followed the Constitution. He gave states, each individual governor, the right to govern how they wanted to govern, where he should have just said straight out, no, we're not shutting anything down, everything is staying open.
Or like the wall. This is what drives me crazy. Republicans who don't study think that Trump essentially, you know, became weak on the wall issue. Democrats like to pretend that he's a dictator, but yet he doesn't build the wall as quickly as he does. Why? Where does the money come from in the United States in the sense of like allocating it? It's Congress. Congress holds the purse strings in our government. Yeah. Trump went for years to Congress. This is part of what he talks about finding new cabinet members. He went to Congress for years to allocate money for the wall. He wouldn't get. Why? Because it was congressional neocon Republicans who like slave labor.
Republicans that stopped him. It wasn't even Democrats.
Exactly. So he takes
Republicans.
He had to take that. He finally said, okay, I can at least in emergency situations take military congressional spending, and I can discretionary spending, excuse me, and use that to build a wall. And they took him to court for that, but he won. But by that time, it was year 4, and he only got a few hundred, miles built. So
Yeah,
people need to lay off that.
And also, I still think people are under the impression that open immigration thing is about getting votes in for Democrats, and I just don't think that's what it is. I think it is about unraveling the unity of the American people. Like there's something about allowing your borders to be flooded with foreigners that makes it so that you have nothing in common with your neighbor now. There's nothing that unites us together. That even the stupid arguments that they have us fighting with other, like when we're arguing over the trans issue and the stupidest things that we fight with our fellow man over, it's because there is something to divide and conquer. You keep us arguing with each other, and then those at the top get to pull the strings and shape things however they want, and there'll never be a time where we all unite and go, hey, they're the bad guy. And it's a very effective tool, so I think that the Republicans who stopped Trump from building that wall were doing it because they were being told by the people who were pulling their purse strings. Like they all have to answer to somebody, nobody. I mean, you watch Thomas Massey's conversation with Tucker Carlson, you find out every single one of these senators and congressmen have an AIPAC person, and those AIPAC people are the ones who are telling them what to do.
Yeah, and I'm fully against that. There's a line in here from Aunt Jemima, aside from the fact that she's being sour at the moment about my refusal for her proposal. But I'm abstaining from voting. I'm not convinced otherwise. I recommend people go and watch. It's really short, but go and watch the video that I made a few days ago called "Why Catholics Must Vote for Trump." Here's the short answer. The theological manuals, which are authoritative, let me be a nerd for a second, but they are authoritative on voting, explicitly do say the following: that if there is a candidate indeed who is going to bring great havoc to the United States or to any country, right? They don't say the United States, but great havoc, a great moral injustice, and then there is a lesser of two evils, vote for that lesser of two evils. And it can be even up to the pain of sin. Like, you have to do it. And they'll even go so far as to say, even if there is a perfect candidate, the perfect Catholic candidate, but there is no hope for them to win, vote for the lesser of two evils still, because they have a likelihood to win to protect themselves from evil. That's the situation that we're in. And, Kale will probably agree with me a lot what I'm about to say, but people just need to recognize that one area which trads do fall into, and this is where I critique our movement, is private judgment. I don't think it's how Lofton says it, where all of our positions are private judgment. But when you're just tossing out the manuals and you're just tossing out everything because you're just embittered, and I guess you're an ultra Fuentes fan, then it's a problem. It's a problem. Nick, the manuals do not say this. I cite 14 of them, my guy. 14 of them in my video. 14 of them. Merkelbach, Prumer, fill in the blank. Go through all of them. 14 of them.
All right, so let's all right, so do you think we will know tomorrow night the winner?
So I think realistically, if we have a good night, in the sense of like people do come out just in droves and swamp the polls, yes, I think we will. And I think that what we're looking, and I think you see some indicators with that, just because you do see a lot of people talking about how two factors: one, the Republicans in early voting, but then two, also that Democrat women aren't coming out and in as big of droves as they typically have done in the past. So if we do see a swamp tomorrow, I think so, yes. But if we do hear anything, as you said, things like stop the count, or, hey, there's in Maricopa County, in this very large district, a pipe burst and flooded everything, we need to go and look at all the ballots and try to figure those things out. If that's the case, then I would say no. It's going to be drawn. It's going to be drawn out long, and that's going to be an issue. But the good thing again is I'm really only concerned about 2 states, but yet Trump can win without those states.
Okay, so we're all right. So we're gonna do a live tomorrow night. Are you gonna jump on with us, or are you gonna be too obsessed with what's going on?
I will definitely jump on with you guys a little bit. I just have to tell people, like, election night is like the Super Bowl for me.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
have to look and focus. I cut my parents off. I cut my siblings off. I'm like, get out of here. I don't want to see you till tomorrow. It's sacred, but I definitely will jump on because you guys do have a lot of good guests up on the running.
So far it's just Father Nick's. I think Anthony Stein might pop in. Taylor said he might pop in, but I would like to have you on just to kind of break some of the stuff down with us, because I think you're way better at it than I ever could be. And yeah, I would really like to have you on to help us break down. Maybe all right, keep in touch with me tomorrow and we'll figure out what's like. I don't want to, I know that you have to kind of stay focused, but I think also you're not going to know really everything until after we're off air anyway. Like 10 o'clock is where things actually start getting going, you know?
Yeah. I will say, if people are wanting to see some kind of leading indicator predictions, watch particularly, and I mentioned this in my video, New Hampshire and Virginia. Those are 2 states that went for Biden overwhelmingly. If they are tight, it's going to be a good night for Trump, because that means that the Rust Belts, which are generally more conservative, it's going to be a good night.
This isn't a bad idea. Have you just like, you could, you don't have to stay the whole time. Maybe you keep popping in and giving us updates. Like maybe we'll do that with you. Maybe you, if you do your thing, and anytime you think something like newsworthy has to be told to us, you just pop on for 5 minutes. Be like, okay, guys, this just happened in this state. This is looking good for here, you know, and me and Rob will kind of just keep a steady show. You know, we'll have a conversation and then you pop in and give us updates. We're going to have Father Nick's jumping on about 8:30 tomorrow. And
I might have to save it because Rob beforehand will just be like, oh, it's all useless, man. It's all useless.
Don't worry about Rob.
I love Rob to death. You guys all know that.
It's but not his politics.
His doom pilling gets annoying, man. I love Rob though.
Like even my doom pilling is not like Rob's. Like mine is just fear that they're gonna steal it from us. It's not the same as all politics is, you know. Rob's like actually just like, I don't care about politics at all, you know, which I understand, you know, that's he's just not into it. But I actually love talking politics with you, Nick. It's I know you know a lot about it. I try to keep up with this stuff too. And yeah, man, this one's gonna be the most interesting, especially after what happened in 2020. This one to me this really does seem like the most important election of our lives. Like by far. I know they say that every election, but this one just seems to me like if this thing goes sour tomorrow, I don't think we have any concept of how bad that is. Like what a portend for the future that really is. It's just a bad signal that they'll be able to force anything through without any pushback whatsoever. I don't even know how you'd ever get any kind of enthusiasm for a candidate again. I mean, I've never seen enthusiasm for any candidate like I do for Trump, right?
Yeah,
so the idea
with stuff like assassination attempts and lawfare, I mean, like all of that's legendary Julius Caesar type stuff. You know,
so like the idea that after Trump we just get some regular Republican again, and it's like you'll never get this moment again in our lives. So I know I do sound like a boomer, but I don't know. This
boomers aren't just like boomers may have some bad takes, but like people got to ease up a little bit with boomer jokes, because it's like, you know, they're not wrong about everything. Hale's in the chat, so he's not wrong about everything, even though he's a Comunio guy. But you know,
let's see, Nick, can you go over the House and Senate races? Yeah. Do you know any of that?
Yeah, so I didn't go a ton about that into my video, but long story short, I'm predicting the Republicans, if they have a good night, I think they will take the Senate by somewhere between 53 to 54 seats. Which will be pretty good. And that will be good if, we're going to do this in a second. I'm going to actually do this. I'm going to force Anthony to do this. I think that the Republicans will do that. It will help, particularly if Kamala hypothetically is elected, because they will be the stopgap when it comes to a lot of her appointments. And so they'll have to narrow those lists down. When it comes to the Republicans, though, in the House, I think the Republicans will more than likely hold on to it, probably expand their seats by a little bit, but not by a massive margin. The Republicans in the House, man, they need to get their act together. And it's not just because, like, you know, a ton of them are neocons, but a lot of them are just so hardcore in their principle as purists that they won't see at least some rational compromises in certain areas. And so those are kind of my predictions. Overall, yeah, I think Trump will win, barring those three scenarios that I laid out, and then he'll have a Congress to work with. But the big thing, of course,
do you think if he does win, let's say he does win, do you think they try to pull any shenanigans with him with the New York case and they throw him in jail for that or something? Because he's still waiting on sentencing for that. Like,
yeah.
Look, okay, so who just said it? They'll never let Trump win. Joe Cillo. Chilo, I don't know. Cillo. They'll never let Trump win. Never. Because part of me thinks that the amount that they have thrown at this guy, that they'll never, like, this guy should have food tasters. I really think Trump should have food tasters at this point.
Yeah, that's a good question. Honestly, I think that the New York case will, if Trump wins, the New York case will just go. It just will, realistically, because it would just look so bad. This is partially why I tell people like to get out and win the popular vote as well. Like, there is a good chance Trump wins the popular vote. And if he does, it gives him a solid mandate to be able to govern, unlike in 2016 where, you know, it was divided both ways. And so I think that if he does win with the popular vote, any type of juridical legal persecution would just look extremely petty. It would just look extremely petty, and it wouldn't look good, particularly for a party that would be really. This is people for this reason alone. You need to vote for Trump. Vote for Trump. Let the Democrat Party crash and burn so bad that it forces them, like the Republicans post 2012, to reorganize themselves and reformulate themselves. Ideally, we can pray for this, into a new conception party. It would be great for them to go back to a Kennedy-style party and for us to have two legit options that were at least feasible, because I'm not a partisan Republican. I would like two options or more, realistically. How's it like and calling Kennedy a fake Italian, but you can't pronounce Italian names? So true. So true.
Yeah, you know why? Because you don't know who actually takes their Italian heritage seriously and actually wants you to pronounce it properly. You know what scares me? Can I give you a scenario that scares me? Trump wins, he gets inaugurated, and because he's an old man, he just dies of natural causes during his presidency. Like, no one in the world will believe it was natural causes that got him. It'll just be mayhem. Now everybody will be like, they freaking killed him. You know, it'll be one of those things where you'll never believe the news. It's the same thing I say. There's nothing that could happen tomorrow that will convince me that Kamala won. Nothing.
The only thing, though, that, I mean, again, this is the reason where I would maybe disagree with that, is just I think she could win legally, quote unquote, either because all women turn out for abortion, or coupled with all you guys in the chat are just so purist that you won't go and vote because you don't like the fact that Trump at least allows your states to pick their own abortion policies. That's the only scenario I realistically see her winning with, if it was fair.
I don't think there's enough women to do that. I just don't. There's
too
many
there might be
other demographics to vote.
All those college girls who are low propensity, they're just like, I don't want them. I just don't want men to tell me what to do with my bodies. Like, they could show up in mass numbers and they could be like, yeah, because I mean, like, that's the sad thing. Someone mentioned this on the internet the other day, but they said, isn't it sad women get the right to vote and all they're proving with it is that they want to kill their kids? I'm not going to say any more about like the women the right to vote, but it's a good point. It's just like, if your main issue is abortion access, it's very, very sad.
Yeah, I'll tell you why I think the main reason I think Trump has got this is because you can wear a Trump hat in New York City now and you'll get compliments.
Have you done it? Have you done it yet?
No, but I have a guy on my crew who does. And it's very interesting to, like, you couldn't have done that 4 years ago. Like, you'd have gotten jumped, or you'd have gotten spit on, or you'd have had a fight in the street. And if you wear a MAGA hat in New York City, you'll get black guys coming up and being like, yo, Trump, like things like that.
Yeah.
Like, it's a very different vibe, man. There's not that vitriol for him anymore. I don't see it like it was in 2020. There's not that full momentum of the entire apparatus against him like it was in 2020. I think something is a little bit different. And anybody, something's different in New York, man. It's like, I'm telling you, it's like you could walk around in your Trump hat and nobody's gonna spit at you. You know?
When I went in 2016, I went to my first Trump rally. It was in Austin, Texas. Outside, there was like 1,000 protesters screaming pink-haired women, and we were in like a rodeo arena. And it was just all of us hayseeds and country bumpkins that were like Trump, Trump, Trump. You know, it was such an underdog feeling. You know what I'm saying? It was like, and Trump back then, you know, he was part of the reason people say that Trump's changed is they're like he's sold out, but really he's gotten old. So like the fiery guy that you see in those debates in 2016 where he's just ripping everybody, he had way more energy back then. It was a decade ago, man. And so it's like back then it was taboo. And then after he won from 2016 to 2020, it was taboo. You didn't want to say that you were a Trump supporter unless you were kind of already out and out about it.
Well, the thing they underestimated in 2016 was the amount of people who were afraid to say they were voting for Trump. So like all their polling was so off because they would ask people who you're voting for. They'd be Hillary, because they were afraid to admit to the pollster that they were voting for Trump. And I think a lot of people went into that booth, told their family one thing, and then went into that booth and pulled the Trump thing. And it was just oh man, never forget that night. It was so glorious.
It was so good. I remember being on the phone with my parents, telling them like updates, and I remember seeing Wisconsin fall, and I had no inkling back then about the different states and stuff, and I knew Wisconsin was blue, and I was like, we've won. I can't believe this. Like, what the heck is going on? It was great. It was a great night.
It was. I stayed up until like 1 a.m. that night. I had to go to work at 4 a.m. I got to work the next day, and I was just like, yo, what happened? New York was just so on eggshells, man. People were devastated everywhere. It was just the most unreal experience to live through, man. And it was such a unique time to be politically astute, like to actually be paying attention to politics and being into that stuff. It was just, I remember starting that night just expecting to lose, and as the slow build to like, it started off as Clinton's gonna win, and Clinton's gonna, oh wait, her victory path is narrowing a little bit here. Oh well, she could still win if this happens. Holy cow, if she doesn't win this and this, she's not going. Oh my goodness, it looks like they're giving Trump a 95% chance. Donald Trump is the next president of the.
You guys remember that he walks down that staircase? They're playing like, I think, what is it? It's like Air Force One, like the theme from Air Force One. He's coming down, trumpets blaring. He comes down, all the flags behind him. He's just like, sorry to keep you waiting, complicated business.
And then Hillary wouldn't come out and concede that night because
it's like the next morning. Yeah, she was, and then she was getting drunk. She was getting drunk. It's just like Kamala Harris. Like you look at Kamala Harris's speeches. One reason why she's crazy, man, is like she's clearly on crack cocaine. Like I think that crack cocaine they found in the White House, I don't think it was Hunter's. I think it was hers.
Dude, I cannot believe tomorrow's election day. I can't believe this seemed like the longest election cycle of my life. Like, I cannot believe tomorrow is election day.
It's wild, man. That's every one of you guys got to go vote. Like, just stop black.
Yeah, like, are there really still people on the fence about not sure if they're going to go? Come on, man. This is important.
Just guys, like, stop being cringe. Just go vote. It's just getting ridiculous.
Could you, but not for nothing, like, could you imagine her being the first woman president? Like, honestly, ladies.
Yeah. Like,
for nothing else, like, she is such, like, I get people that want to see a woman president. I don't ever.
but if you did, at least let it be Gabbard or something like that, It
has to be a woman competent. Like, this is the most incompetent woman. It would just be an embarrassment to women everywhere. Please don't let this woman be the first. My daughters, I don't want them seeing this woman be the first. She's just going to be a shell of a human being. Yeah, she does have the IQ of a fence post. It's not like, there are some smart women out there, and she's not one of them. Like,
no, it's
I made a joke on Twitter the other day. I said, my liberal brother's in California, and I went and I voted early under his name.
Women
really
women
happen.
shouldn't be in politics. Aunt Jemima, I don't think women should be online. So get your butt
Whoa,
offline.
Nick, you're such a misogynist, man.
Get back in the kitchen.
Uh,
Goodness gracious.
Yeah, I mean, well, this is kind of early what I was saying. Sorry, guys. Like Tulsi, right? So this is what I mean by this isn't about Democrats winning this. Tulsi Gabbard would have been a good Democratic candidate to run, right? What we're up against is not, you see what they do with the Democratic candidates. Anybody who even says something original gets thrown out. You saw they did it with Bernie Sanders. You saw they did, like, this isn't Democrat versus Republicans, and the Democrats that think it is are the dumbest people alive. Those people who are just accept Kamala as their candidate and are going behind, like, how do you not see what they did here? This is not Democrat versus Republican. This is some entity controlling things from behind the scenes against the American populace. And if we don't win against them, who cares about Democrats? The Democrats aren't the issue. They suck and they have some terrible policies.
Just the front. It's the store. It's the front. It's just we happen to be the best corporation at the moment in order to get across our message. It used to be the Republicans. All the big businesses, all the big donors, all the big war hawks used to be in the Republican Party. That's why Liz Cheney's campaigning with Kamala Harris right now. This used to be true. It used to be true that the right boot and the left boot both crushed you. But Trump has moved it so much to where, of course, there's still going to be neocons in the party. Nikki Haley is a great example of that. But he's moved it so much that they're like going after Trump supporters because, like, you're the issue. You're the problem at the end of the day because the party has changed, which is great.
Yeah, this is honestly what we're dealing with. Like, when people say the deep state, it's really just Israel. It's really what we're doing.
I don't know why she's still online, man. She's got to go get offline.
And even as like Tulsi became a Republican, like, what does it even mean to be a Republican at this point? Like, it's not. It's basically anybody who's not a lunatic. You're a Republican now. Like the people that are still voting Democrat are just legit non-player character brainwashed zombies, and they won't hear anything that challenges their worldview in any way whatsoever. And politics is their religion, I guess. But man, all right, Nick, tomorrow's the big day, man.
It is. It's the big day.
So, all right, we will be doing a live show at 8 p.m. Everybody, please, while we got a big audience, please hit like and subscribe. If you guys are not subscribed, we are dead in the algorithm right now. I don't know why, but we need a boost to the algorithm. So at least you could do is hit subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Please hit the like button. And we have merch at our merch store. You get shirts that say, "Have you accepted Mary as your personal mother and intercessor?" We got some, me and Rob will cover some like general stories tomorrow, and we'll be checking in with Nick. We got a bunch of guests coming on. I am tired and I would like to be, fully awake for tomorrow. So we're going to wrap this one up now. Nick, everybody go check out Nick's latest video. What are you at now, Nick?
I think it's at 115,000.
Holy cow.
115,000. Before we finish, can I read this? A lot of people messaged me this from this audience saying, could I read this prayer? It's actually a good idea. I don't think we've ever have you guys ever prayed before on Avoiding Babylon?
When we've had priests on, but
Okay. It's a really short prayer, but this is Father. I don't know if Father Ripperger wrote this or if he's just promoting this prayer or what, but people said that this is from him. It's just consecrating the election to Our Lady. It's pretty short. I think it's good for us to pray just so that, especially for all of the doom pillars, like, let's just go into it with our best foot forward. At the end of the day, Christ is still King, and we'll see what happens. All right, let's go and pray this real quick. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost. Amen. Mary Immaculate, living tabernacle of divinity, where eternal wisdom lies hidden and adored by and served by the angels and men, Queen of heaven and earth, beneath whose sway subjects of all things are lower than God, patroness of the United States of America, and sorrowful mother, being mindful of our sinfulness and the sins of our nation, we come to thee, our refuge and hope. knowing that our country cannot be saved by our own works, and mindful of how our nation has departed from the ways of thy Son, we humbly ask you that thou wouldest enlighten our eyes, turn thy eyes upon our country, and we bring it forward to you. We consecrate to you the integrity of this upcoming election and its outcomes, so that the spirituality and the morality of the best citizens of our country may be accomplished, and that those that are elected would govern according to the spiritual and moral principles which bring our nation into conformity with the teachings of thy Son. Give grace to the citizens of this land that they will choose leaders according to the sacred heart of thy Son, and that his glory may be manifest, lest we should get leaders that we deserve. Trusting in the providential care of God the Father and thy maternal mother, we ask perfect confidence that thou wilt take care of us and will not leave us forsaken. O Mary Immaculate, pray for us. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Amen. It's a good prayer, guys. Be joyful. Go vote. Big thing. Go vote. Bring a friend. Bring a family member. Even if they're screaming, just like Trump said, Tony, get off the couch. Go vote. Go vote.
Yeah, fat ass, get off the couch and go vote.
Go vote, y'all. And it's got what you got to do.
All right, guys. We will see you guys tomorrow night for the big day. Yes, Aunt Jemima is a woman. We'll confirm that.
A Jewish woman.
Somebody wiped this girl up, man. She's acting pretty desperate in our chat. You gotta get her.
Someone please wipe her up. She's being desperate, man.
All right, guys. We will see you tomorrow night.